Hey, and welcome to another installment of Catching Up with Chris, Jake, and Sam. I'm Sam.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jake.
And, here we are. Do you guys want to... the past couple episodes I've talked about my shitty basement. That's continued to be shitty. Would you guys like an update?
Sure.
I know what's going on.
So
I don't.
Literally the day after we recorded the last podcast, was it? Yeah, the day we recorded it, it flooded a third time, and so the following day I had plumbers over, and they snaked it through with like a big industrial size snake, and they brought out a lot of like tree roots and then they ran a camera down because it turns out, as much as I feared, tree roots have grown into my drainage pipe, and so that's what was causing like the big backups. And so, because it's the original like 43-year-old cast iron drainage pipe. When the house was first built in 72. So they were like, well, we could do some patchwork where it was definitely affected by the tree roots, but you're probably going to want to just replace the whole thing since it's all the same age, and it's going to just be an eventual total problem. I was just like, fuck it, fine. So my entire front yard was kind of like excavated, like they were looking for the Ark of the Covenant, and they replaced it there, and
the diggers are going, oh, Shania.
Yeah.
Did they remember to take it back 2 spots?
2 Kadans back.
Yeah, 2 Kadans.
For the Hebrew god.
They're digging in the wrong place. They dig at the neighbor's place.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you guys doing?
God damn it, Sam.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry, I forgot to burn the other side into my other palm.
Yeah. But they, in the next couple days, are going to tear up my foundation because there's piping under my foundation, so that's going to be fun. They're going to take a gigantic fucking jackhammer to that. Literally rock my house to the core. And yeah, that's, and my washing machine broke last night. So I got to get that fixed this week, too.
Fun.
Everything at once.
Yeah.
Everything, and good to get it out of the system early. So
Yeah,
the rest of the year,
right.
you're like, okay.
It's all uphill from here.
Yes, in terms of quality.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not in terms of like
and the
ease.
walk.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've been settling into my new job and that sort of thing, and
You enjoying that?
yeah, it's pretty cool. I basically get to help a bunch of. I'm an academic coordinator at one of the local public universities here in Northern Virginia, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in Northern Virginia, and I get to. I help the athletes on a certain amount of teams make sure they keep their grades up and register for the right classes, and hit all the NCAA guidelines. I'm in charge of. I figured out what my teams were. They told me. I didn't figure it out. It wasn't like a big.
Give you a map, and you're like, you'll go to this locker room.
Yeah, it's like a scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
I mean, you guys definitely have a basketball team.
Yes. Luckily, I'm not in charge of it because that's like the most like high like public profile, and yeah. I've got women's lacrosse, men's and women's tennis, and golf.
No Quidditch?
No Quidditch. I do help both cheerleading.
You gonna bring it back?
No, I do help both cheerleading teams and the dance team in a support capacity.
Yeah, but that's not official. You just sit there and help them clean up in the shower.
Yeah, just the males. Give them their towels and all that. But it's been an okay month. I just wish I didn't have to deal with as much
Shit.
Literal shit, and then just general home ec.
Whereas I have basically spent the entire week rewatching Futurama. That's
I would prefer this.
Yeah, that's what I decided to do, and I'm doing it. I'm binging through the whole thing. I think I'm on season 8 or 9, so I'm almost at the finish line because there's only 10 seasons as far as Netflix is concerned.
Yeah, throughout this I've been I finished Star Trek Voyager this week, and then I move on to
Star Trek Voyager.
No, I move on to Enterprise. I'm not looking forward to that, but it's what I do.
Yeah.
Ever since you can track how long I've had a Netflix based on where I am in the Star Trek spectrum, watching one episode a day from original series through animated, through Next Gen, through Deep Space, and now Voyager. And then I'm also watching The Killing. I'm wrapping that up. I'm in the last season of that as well. Also watching...
Finally, Billy Campbell comes back.
Yeah, for just one episode.
Was that all it was? I haven't finished season 4 of that yet.
Yeah, it's... Yeah. You only see him the one time, as far as I know.
That's a shame.
And then who is the? Oh yeah, I'm watching Californication with David Duchovny and all that. Just basically watching him run around Los Angeles banging various women. Speaking
of David Duchovny, I just remembered that I read a blurb, and I didn't read the whole article, so I don't know what the details are. But I heard that Fox is in talks to, in some capacity, bring X-Files back.
I've heard some people say that they're going to reboot it, and some people say that it's going to be a continuation of after the second film, which would be the worst subtitle for any movie in the history of fucking ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. They would have been better with X-Files 2: Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. X-Files harder.
Yeah.
Or file harder.
File harder.
X-Files.
File-er.
Yeah.
Filer.
Did you, you've been watching, you are continuing the Cage-a-thon, right?
That's right.
Yeah, how's that going?
I wanted to do 5 more since the last time, but I only did 3. Not because I was like, this is stupid. Well, it's kind of stupid, but
you just reached the ultimate, and you're riding that high.
Yeah, I decided I was like, I'm gonna watch Leaving Las Vegas, which for the unaware is the film that gave Nicolas Cage his Oscar for Best Actor. It's a great performance, but I'm never watching that movie again, ever. Like, there's no point. It's just devastating. That's the only way I can think of describing that movie. It's a movie about a man drinking himself to death, and the author of the book that it's based on killed himself 2 weeks after the film rights were sold, or they announced they were making a movie. So it's just a lot of just depression and darkness around the movie, and it's you just watch Nicolas Cage drink himself to death.
Oof.
Elizabeth Shue is fantastic in the movie. I feel like she should have won an Oscar for that as well. She really kind of carries the movie because Nicolas Cage, she plays the prostitute with the heart of gold, and he's the drunkard, and they kind of meet and fall in love, and just a lot of very tough choices and moments in that movie. But I could see why he won the Oscar for it, and why it was kind of the Oscar darling in terms of Best Actor. Pretty much everyone was in agreement on that. And then I decided to watch Ghost Rider, the first one, again. And I had seen that one before. I saw that one in college. It was opening night. It was like, I remember nothing was coming out that weekend. And me and my roommate drove to go see it.
And March release.
Yeah, and we went to go see it, and the screening we were going to see was sold out. And I was like, what the fuck? How? Like, that was my reaction. And so we didn't want to drive all the way back to campus because it was just showing in like another 30 or 40 minutes after that. So we killed some time, and that one was almost sold out as well. And we saw it, and I hated it. I hated the movie. I thought it was really stupid. That night, I remember going back and trying to find as much Ghost Rider as possible to read to cleanse my soul, because I just really hated the movie.
Because you could hear him knocking at the door.
And yeah,
that's from the second film,
from Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance. Yeah, and
still a better subtitle than X-Files. I want to believe.
Yeah.
Especially since it had nothing to do with the movie.
Yeah.
Because it was about, what, like a werewolf?
No, it was about aliens again, but, we've established, wasn't it about aliens again?
No, the first X-Files was about...
Well, yeah, definitely.
But no, the second one was a Monster of the Week.
Well, either way, we've established that these supernatural and extraterrestrial things fucking exist. I believe in that they exist. I want you, I believe, to shut the fuck up.
I want the truth to be out there.
Yeah,
I know the truth is out there.
Yeah.
I have like 7 seasons to back me up on that.
Yeah, all on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are both movies on Netflix? It really only matters the first one's on Netflix because that's in continuity.
Of the films are on Netflix.
Fact checker, check that.
Well, none of them involve Nicolas Cage.
So, yeah, sorry.
And,
going back to
your watching the first Ghost Rider film. I was hoping this would happen, and it did. I actually liked it a little bit more after watching Spirit of Vengeance, which started all this, because Spirit of Vengeance is just a terrible, terrible, terrible movie. And the first Ghost Rider is actually fun in like a bad way.
Yeah, I agree.
when he's actually done up as Ghost Rider, it's pretty entertaining. That scene where like helicopter's like chasing him, and he like pulls the helicopter closer with a Hellfire chain, and he's like, "You're pissing me off." He like gives the cops the finger while riding away on the bike. Pretty hilarious stuff. But it was worth watching again, and I might actually watch it one of these days later. Children, shut the fuck up. And
didn't say a word.
Yeah.
And
sorry, if you could hear us, we were bickering about how the Netflix does not have the first movie.
Yeah,
and I was flicking off Sam because it's his fault.
Clearly. But yeah. You also watched The Weatherman, didn't you?
Yeah, and The Weatherman was the third one, which I loved. Like that, I would say so. So far, my favorite Nicolas Cage movie I've seen. Gore Verbinski directed it, and it's really hard to explain what the movie's about because it's really just about a weatherman living his life and trying to get his family back together, and is he going to get this new job or not, and taking up archery and explaining to his daughter what a camel toe is, and
getting hit with milkshakes
and chicken nuggets and soft tacos and a big gulp, and explaining what those things are to his father as he sees it happen. Oh, it's a Frosty. It's like a milkshake from Wendy's, and
which are delicious.
It was good. I mean, it's a very darkly funny movie, and I thought Nicolas Cage was fantastic, and a lot of voiceover stuff, a lot of stream of consciousness that he does. The famous don't forget the tartar sauce scene is pretty hilarious. But yeah, I mean, I meant to watch like The Family Man, and that's definitely on there. So is the film Joe that he did in 2013 that he got rave reviews for, and then do the National Treasure movies, and then of course the big famous ones like Con Air and Face Off and The Rock. And still, I'm going to end it with Vampire's Kiss. You're
going to do Raising Arizona?
Oh yeah, exactly, Raising Arizona.
Moonstruck.
Yeah, I'll do Moonstruck. Because Cher's in it. that was my rationale.
That's
last
what got
time.
her the Academy.
Yeah. That was my rationale last time.
You gonna watch Drive Angry?
Actually, yeah, I'll do Drive Angry.
It was the best Ghost Rider movie.
But,
didn't I say that last? God, that's the movie.
Yeah.
I was sorry. I had remembered. I had remembered that I'd done that funny quip, but I couldn't remember what the movies were. So thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
no problem.
But yeah, it's now
I can go back to work and be like, aha, and then forget it again.
But yeah, it's been fun watching all these weird, wild movies, and yeah, we'll redo Kick-Ass, because I keep forgetting he's in that movie. But I remember even before, like way before when the movie came out, I wasn't really interested in Nicolas Cage. I remember thinking he was pretty good in it. Like he brought this kind of Adam West kind of staccatoed acting to it that worked for the character totally for Big Daddy. So
Adam West.
Yeah. All right, that's cool. I mean, we all went to the movies and saw Inherent Vice this past week.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about it, I love Paul Thomas Anderson. His There Will Be Blood.
He's my second favorite Anderson.
Right, and
which is insane.
Yeah. But
sorry that the other actually second favorite Paul Anderson even.
Yeah, the Boogie Nights. Well, I've never actually seen. What's the movie? Was it Hard Eight or something like that?
Oh, his first one. Yeah, it's also called Sydney. I think there was 2 different titles for it.
Yeah,
that was one way back in the day when I worked for Blockbuster. I had they could mail us stuff.
I feel like everyone forgets about Punch Drunk Love.
Punch Drunk Love is great.
That's a
film. Really, really good movie. Yeah. What would you say is your favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie?
It's probably going to be. And I never saw The Master.
Well, I haven't seen it yet either. So.
Yeah. It's it's between Boogie Nights and probably Magnolia or something.
Yeah.
I really like There Will Be Blood, but that you have to be in the right mood.
Yeah, I mean, Boogie Nights is a movie that obviously very funny, but also some really dark, messed up stuff.
Now, in terms of Inherent Vice, which is an adaptation of the Thomas Pynchon novel of the same fucking name, and it's his most accessible novel. Because it's usually out there, and this movie is out there.
Yes,
it's. I was catching shades of The Big Lebowski in that it focuses on this guy trying to solve this kind of inconsequential thing, and it just serves to lead him into this deep, dark world. Mm-hmm. And of course, in true PTA form, very surreal, very needlessly, I would argue, needlessly long.
Yeah, and I've never had a problem with Paul Thomas Anderson run times before. But this one, it pains me to say because I've enjoyed every Paul Thomas Anderson movie I've seen, even Hard Eight, the first one, but this one, for me, it was a little tough. It was a little tough to get through, and there were moments sprinkled throughout it that I enjoyed. I thought Phoenix was really good in it. He carried the movie very well.
Yeah, Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin stole the show.
Oh yeah.
sucking on some
chocolate banana.
Chocolate banana. That's not like it's not like an innuendo. Like,
literally just a chocolate banana.
One thing that Sam and I were talking about on the way home, it kind of made me realize, like, how, I love Paul Thomas Anderson's dialogue, and it made me realize that like the dialogue that I love. One of the reasons I love his dialogue is he writes dialogue. I feel like a lot of times in like a diner, for example, there's a scene in a diner where a waitress keeps coming back and telling him stuff. A lot of writers, I think, forget to write about other characters in a scene sometimes, where they focus. They always want the character to have the right thing to say and sound really smooth and have the perfect comeback. And I like that stuff. It's enjoyable. Like I really like The Newsroom. But every character always has the perfect thing to say and the perfect monologue and the perfect comeback, unless you're being like reamed out by Jeff Daniels on the air. But like, in Paul Thomas Anderson land, there's a lot of it feels very real. And they'll have throwaway lines that he throws in there to keep it feeling like it's a real place, like it is a real diner, or it is a real police station, or something along those lines. There's always little lines, and he'll also throw lines in, like I know through Boogie Nights and Magnolia, lines that necessarily have like really nothing to do with the plot. But if you listen to like commentaries or hear him talk about it, like he's so obsessed with that singular line that it means something to him, or that maybe doesn't mean anything to us, or and he's very good with words, and he's very, very strong with making it feel realistic.
I was kind of surprised how funny this film was too.
Yeah.
There was certainly shades of comedy in the trailer.
The trailer made it look like it was going to be really kind of almost goofy,
like a screwball kind of.
Yeah. And like I think that's what I was really looking forward to. And the scenes where it's doing that, it's really hitting it. And and there are parts where I was just like, but yeah, the length between those scenes though was almost unbearable. Like,
I mean, somebody straight up fell asleep behind us in the theater.
Oh yeah, we could
multiple
hear
times.
Yeah. And the movie's not a loud movie, so you can hear everything.
Yeah.
You could hear him snore.
Yeah.
He slept through the boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of boobs, though.
The thing, so, I will say, again...
I'm sure he got his pick.
Yeah, about Paul Thomas Anderson, that I like, he does a lot of long shots, long takes.
Yes.
And the scene, speaking of aforementioned boobs, there's a character who's like... That's
Sam Waterston's daughter.
Is it really?
Yeah,
speaking
from
of
the newsroom.
Yeah. Oh, wow, okay. Well, for her, it's a very daring and bold performance, because there's a scene where she's completely naked, and there's this, it's like I feel like almost like 10-minute long scene where it's a scene between her and Phoenix, and they're just talking, and it ends in a very physical, sexual way.
And it was all one shot.
Yeah, it's all one shot, which I love. Like, the beginning of Boogie Nights is great with that. Magnolia has a lot of those. Obviously, There Will Be Blood. Any Paul Thomas Anderson movie has that kind of stuff. But this one, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the movie, I still love those kind of scenes. Going in and out of a room where like the music will be like boom and in your face, and they leave the room, the music fades away, and it's not it's not a soundtrack where it's following the character around. We're just happen to follow the character around, and we'll get glimpses of dialogue or music here or there.
I think it's important for me to say, I still enjoyed the film. Mm-hmm. I was a bit underwhelmed.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think I would have liked it a little bit more if they had like kind of like, I mean, I haven't read the book, so I have no idea what goes on in the book, but for what was happening in the movie, I think I would have enjoyed a little bit more playing on the surreal stuff. Like there were several times where I was like, I wonder if this is going to build to like something like, is any of this even actually happening?
The big thing about the book is that it's framed around the arrest and trial of the Charles Manson family, and they kind of allude to that, and
they mention the Manson family,
and certainly like the cult-like fear that's in Los Angeles at the time, but it nowhere near as readily as Pynchon does in his novel. What I find interesting about Anderson's films is they all kind of like shine a light on this like hidden part of like California, usually Southern California, almost always Southern California. So you've got, and they almost always take place in a different era, time-wise. So you've got the oil boom in Southern California during There Will Be Blood, like in the early 20th century. You've got the rise of the porn industry in the 70s and 80s and Boogie Nights. And with this, you've kind of got this kind of counterculture kind of coming out of the 60s feel kind of the hangover after the 60s that California's, because Joaquin Phoenix is basically, I mean, he's straight up called like Josh Brolin every chance he gets calls him like a fucking hippie every chance, and just like treats him like shit. But that I always found that very interesting. A lot of directors, like obviously Woody Allen. I mean, Woody Allen has done stuff like he's got European films like Midnight in Paris or Vicky Cristina Barcelona, but
or science fiction like Sleeper.
Well, and I feel like everyone equates his late 70s, early 80s work with New York City. That's like his Annie Hall, Manhattan.
And it's like contemporary New York City for those films as well.
Yeah. It's always very much what he's kind of feeling. It's always interesting watching the different eras or where filmmakers tend to gravitate in terms of setting and time period and that sort of thing. And for Anderson, it's almost always Southern California. I think The Master takes place in again, I haven't seen it. Magnolia takes place in Los Angeles, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, all throughout. I mean, interconnecting lives and whatnot.
Yeah, almost kind of like what was that movie, Babel or 21 Grams, have that kind of intersecting lives as well. But So that's what I found interesting. Of course, Joaquin Phoenix does a good job.
Yeah.
Josh Brolin does a good job. It's a movie I'd recommend based on set pieces and performances, but not the film or the story as a whole.
And there's also a good chance one of your favorite actors is going to show up in a scene. Like it's a big time cast. Like Paul Thomas Anderson had like the feelers out there, and they're like, "Hey, we can get you for a day's work."
Got Eric Roberts.
Yeah.
Like this.
But
they got what's his name from The Wire. It was also in a couple episodes of Community.
Michael K. Williams.
Yes.
Yeah.
The entire scene with him, I was like, I fucking know who this is, but I can't put my finger on it because he's got a big goofy, well, not like a huge, but he's got a 70s afro.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Omar's coming.
Yeah.
Omar coming.
Yeah. And I was like, I have no idea who this is because I know for a fact I've only ever seen him more or less bald,
Or in the case of The Wire, in a do-rag most of the time.
Yeah.
Also in the new RoboCop.
Yeah.
Alex Murphy's partner.
Yeah. Also in 12 Years a Slave.
Yes.
It dies on the boat.
Spoilers.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to spoil 12 Years a Slave because he spends 12 years as a slave. The other movie that Jake and I saw, because we tried to knock out all the nominees for Best Picture.
Yep.
And American Sniper got a wide release this past week. And Jake had listened to the audiobook and everything, and so we went and saw it. And well, Jake, you've got a bit more expertise in this. Would you? I'll comment on it too.
Yeah, I had followed Chris Kyle, his kind of story when he would show up on news shows and talk about it and promote the book American Sniper, story about his life as a Navy SEAL and 4 tours in Iraq, and it fascinated me. And Chris Kyle, right off the bat, I got to say is, and I had said this before plenty of times other places, but like the reason that he's a hero for me is not because he is touted as the most lethal sniper in American history. It's because he answered the call to serve his country. Like that is something where we have a military obviously here that is all volunteer. It's voluntary, and so for someone to make that decision that they want to put themselves in harm's way to defend their country is very heroic and inspiring to me. And he's a guy who had this kind of inner battle where he always felt that if he was willing and able to fight, he should be doing it, which is why he did it 4 times, in the movie, and they talk about it as well, like over 1,000 days in Iraq and in very hostile areas. And so, I listened to the audiobook about his life, and it's a story that I feel like everyone should read or see or listen to and should be told, because I think he's someone who should be remembered for his heroic deeds. Now, the movie itself, with any kind of true story or biopic, there's going to be a lot of Hollywoodized fiction stuff. They fictionalize the movie, and this movie's no different. There's plenty of stuff that they add to it to make it more. I don't even want to say engaging, because the book itself, what he actually went through, was engaging. But it's just, that's the way it is with movies. You get a book into 2, it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes, I think, or a little bit shorter. But for the most part, and I'm doing my best not to say, well, this happens in the book and this happens in the movie. I don't want to be that guy. But I thought the movie was good. I definitely plan on seeing it again. I thought, Bradley Cooper looks like and acts like very much like Chris Kyle seemed in the book, and from what I've seen in interviews with him. And Sienna Miller plays Taya Kyle, his wife. And it's a movie that also shows very much, and the book as well, because Taya Kyle has moments in the book where she speaks on her side of things. Having to deal with what it is for the families of servicemen and women, what they have to go through on different deployments, for moves, not seeing loved ones for a long period of time, and dealing with the reality of that they are in very usually dangerous parts of the world doing dangerous things. I was under the impression the movie was going to be a little bit more focusing on the mentality and the psychology of what it is to be a sniper in Iraq, because he is again touted as the legend, the Devil of Ramadi, and having over around 160 confirmed kills. I thought it was going to be a little bit more about kind of that psychology, and they touched on it here and there throughout the movie. It's much more about kind of what it does to the family as well, which is something that again needs to be pointed out and shown in a film context.
Yeah, my favorite sequences are when he's at home and he doesn't know how to turn off.
Yeah,
like he'll hear like a lawnmower start and he'll
jump.
Yeah, he'll immediately zero in on it, or he'll see a car that he thinks is tailing him.
Yeah,
and he'll like he'll stop in mid conversation and wait until it moves. That kind of like inability to reintegrate, or that difficulty to reintegrate back into the home life.
Absolutely,
those are my favorite parts.
Yeah, and this is a movie and a story and a true story about a man who, unfortunately, he almost seemed more comfortable over in Iraq. There are times, and it's all throughout the book and in the movie as well, where he just doesn't know how to connect again.
Yeah.
He says it in the movie as well, and it's something that I know Taya Kyle and Chris Kyle kind of throughout the book would differentiate, like God, family, country, and then in the movie he would say God, country, family, and he said that kind of would, the 2 and 3 would kind of switch back and forth throughout his life, but he has this spirit. He had this spirit to fight for his country, and I respect him and the people who do that like utmost, like my brother, my father, grandfathers, my uncles, like all of them who've ever served, anyone, my friends. It's an inspiring thing. It's something that, a story that can be told, showing that and getting on a mass scale for as many people to see it and be interested to go read the book or even just listen to him speak in an interview is important. And the movie had a gigantic opening weekend, like $90 million.
For January.
Yeah. Shattered all kinds of records. And, I know that the movie meant a lot for Taya Kyle, the wife, and then she gave it the seal of approval, as did his parents, because unfortunately he was killed when he was back about 2 years ago, coming up 2 years ago, on a shooting range, which is just like I can't, like, that's just insane to me. It's just the worst to go through all that.
Someone that spends like 1,000 days in Iraq in some of the worst combat zones.
Yeah, and then he comes home and he's killed trying to help another veteran. And it's a movie that it's got its flaws.
It's one of those films that are nominated for Best Picture that let me underscore this. I enjoy the film American Sniper.
Yes.
I don't feel that the film, for its flaws, takes away from the legacy of Chris Kyle or any of that sort of thing.
No.
Having said that, I would not nominate the film for Best Picture.
I agree with you.
I would say it's not the best depiction of the Iraq, the best cinematic depiction of the Iraq War. Conversely, I would not say it's the worst.
No.
But it's almost I feel like it's too abrupt, and I would argue too shallow. It doesn't really get to that.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for political stuff. The film doesn't get political, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really get into more into the headspace of that, and more into especially for someone that's a sniper.
Yeah.
Like you were kind of talking about, there's not a lot of him sniping. He goes, yeah.
I was looking forward to, and when I say looking forward to, I wasn't like, waiting to see like all this kind of carnage, not at all. But I was looking again because the idea of like what it means to be a sniper is something that's always fascinated me. To be kind of this, as they call it, like this kind of one man
on the wall.
Yeah, and this something like it can strike fear in the people because they're unseen and like their training process is so rigorous and their skill set is so precise. And there's a couple scenes that definitely do show that. I mean, you see the toll it takes on him. You see him setting up his nest and sitting there for days and days and looking down the scope. Yeah, I mean, again, I definitely want to see it again. I definitely want to. I might even check the book out again because it is such a fascinating and inspiring story and very tragic story. I mean, it's a shame the movie has to end the way it does because that's life and it's something that he should have lived a long life and celebrated for all the things he did, and he will be, but it's just a real like shame that his life was cut short, especially back on US soil like that. But yeah, I mean, definitely please check out the book, check out the movie, and or just listen to a story or read about it somewhere because it's really worth it and the best of what I feel like America can offer in terms of someone trying to do the right thing and serve their country the best way they can.
Yeah, I know my dad's really interested in it. He was in the Marines before I was born, and that's kind of the stuff that he trained to do. Like he was a really good marksman and stuff like that. I have no idea what he did in terms of like service to the country per se, but I do know that he is like a big pro sniper, and he himself is an amazing shot. And he will go on and on and on about the guys that he served with, and like especially special forces and snipers and stuff like that. So I know we haven't gotten a chance to see it, but I know he really wants to go see it, and he really wants to take me to see it.
I think that's something definitely you two should do and see. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I'm very interested to see. Because my dad was in the Army as well, and I'd definitely be interested to see his kind of take on it. I bought him the book for Christmas. Mm-hmm. That was kind of my go-to book for a couple people because I know they enjoy military history and that kind of commitment to service and stuff. So, yeah, it put me in like a weird mood after seeing the movie. Not because of the movie wasn't exactly what I was expecting. It's just the reality of the whole thing again.
Well, yeah, I feel like I remember after we saw Lone Survivor last year, it's like, well, I mean,
this is the quietest ride home because usually Sam and I are very, we
shooting the breeze,
favorite scenes. Would you, like it's almost like instead of 2 thumbs up, it's like, would you buy this? After you see it, you know what I mean. And
that's my ultimate barometer.
Would you buy this? And for American Sniper, yeah, I would. I would buy it. Which is, I guess, our best way of saying, 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, watch it. Yeah.
But
I don't own the first Amazing Spider-Man.
I own it digitally. Like I don't own that fucker physically.
So there'd be no physical.
Yeah, no trace. But I own the second one because everyone knows I'm a psycho for that second movie. I saw it 4 times in theaters, all in 3D.
I didn't mind it. I mean, I think we've all established that.
We did, yeah. But I mean,
I mean, yeah. In terms of Academy Award nominated films nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture, I've seen American Sniper, Whiplash, Birdman, and The Imitation Game. I'm missing
Grand Budapest
Hotel, The Theory of Everything,
mm-hmm.
Selma, and Boyhood.
Yeah.
And I own the Grand Budapest Hotel because Amazon is in the middle of having this big sale, and I was like, fuck it, I can throw $10 at it, and if I hate it, fuck it. I remember when the day of the last Academy Award show, I was like, I gotta watch all of them. And then I saw Captain Phillips, and I was like, I don't have to watch that. That one's not gonna win. And then I bought Sight Unseen. I just bought digitally 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah.
I never intend to really. It's a good film, but I never really intend to watch 12 Years a Slave ever again.
Yeah.
I imagine it's not one of those feel-good hit of the summer.
Yeah, it's not like people don't have like, hey, let's all get together and watch Schindler's List. That never happens. Yeah. And
still a beautiful movie.
It's a great film. I mean,
although I got to say, I think I've seen it multiple times.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah. I've seen.
There's just some movies, man. Like we've kind of touched on that actually a couple times this podcast so far. Like Leaving Las Vegas. I will never watch that movie again. It's not because I thought it was a stupid movie or poorly made, but there's no need for that grief. You know what I mean? It's just.
Would you ever watch The Passion of the Christ more than once?
No. I and everyone knows I love Mel Gibson. No.
Would you ever watch United 93?
I've actually never seen that one.
It's pretty. It's a good
I mean,
film, but
that's
given the subject matter. It's
Yeah.
But all fantastic films.
Lone Survivor was one we were talking about. That's a very rough one to
get through.
To get through. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the thing is, I would watch The Hurt Locker.
I've seen that a couple times.
I still think The Hurt Locker is my favorite. Like, what I think is The
Hurt Locker is like, I think that's one of the best.
Yeah, it kind of touches on the same themes that this guy that's more in tune on the battlefield than he is at home.
Well, I remember that a lot of people gave the movie flack because they saw it as like he was an adrenaline junkie and he like loved war. And it's not this like loving war, but it's just, and I can never relate to that ever. But from what I've seen and read in the book, it's it's this thing where they feel that they have this need and this want to go and serve because they're like, well, why would I ever not serve if I'm fit to serve? Why would I ever not go back? They need me. And that's something that I think The Hurt Locker showed. The Hurt Locker did, of course, because it is a fictional account of somebody. They do take some liberties with more of like, he puts himself in like harm's way. I think some people were like, oh, it's like, like the... He
leaves the military base to find that kid.
That's the weirdest
part. That is the weirdest
part
of
the movie.
Yeah.
But, I knew a lot of my veteran friends who had talked about that scene where he has all the cereal options to buy and he doesn't know what to pick. And he's just sitting in the supermarket, like staring at it. And they were like, that's it. Like, this is a guy who was part of...
he has to, he's disabling as many as like a half a dozen IEDs like a day.
And then he gets home and he's staring at it.
His biggest choice is what kind of cereal do I get?
And he's just standing in there. He doesn't know what to do. And so, there's a great scene in American Sniper that kind of shows that where he's at like a 4th of July or kind of an outdoor barbecue, and there's a dog playing with a bunch of the kids, and the dog, I'm assuming is playing with it, like they're playing with his kid, and the dog goes in and like the kid's on the ground and the dog's like just like kind of like wrestling with him like dogs do, like licking him and jumping all over. And Chris Kyle sees it as the dog is savagely attacking the kid, and he snaps, and immediately goes into this mode. And it's something where he almost like gets,
almost kills the dog.
Yeah, and he kind of comes to, and he's standing over this dog with his like the belt wrapped around his hand, like he's gonna kill this dog because he's seen all these things. Yeah, I mean, I think The Hurt Locker is a movie that I'd even probably put as like one of the top movies for me of like this century.
Sure,
it's a really intense one.
Yeah. Now I will say, so American Sniper is directed by Clint Eastwood. Mm-hmm. It's the it doesn't feel like an Eastwood film. Like it doesn't feel like an Eastwood movie.
There wasn't I don't know, what would you say are some of like the Eastwood hallmarks? But like, even though I can't really like off the top of my head,
Unforgiven.
No, I mean like I'm sorry, like trademarks. That's what I meant to say. Like I can't think of them straight off the top of my head. Maybe Clint Eastwood being in the movie, but
a lot of wide shots.
Yeah,
a lot of kind of like landscape.
Because he's one of those guys that like even the Paul Thomas Anderson, the Quentin Tarantinos, they weren't around to see how those movies were made, and he can always bring that to it and have this grit.
Yeah, there's almost like a serenity.
Yeah,
to those.
Like Gran Torino, man, was that his last really?
He directed like Hereafter.
And I mean like universally like acclaimed movie.
I feel like it.
Yeah.
Hereafter
was weird. I remember seeing that. That was a movie that like I didn't hate. It was a really kind of weird one.
It was
with Matt Damon. But it was about the tsunami.
Tsunami, yeah.
And I never saw. Did he direct the baseball one?
Trouble with the Curve? No, he just is in.
He's just in it.
Trouble with the Curve. That's probably why that movie sucks.
Okay, I feel like anytime I see Clint Eastwood in a movie now, he's like directing it because he is a great director.
Would you argue he's a better director than an actor?
Yeah, because I think that he's very good at, and I love Clint Eastwood, but he's very, very good at like that one role. Not like isn't like just one role out of all of his roles.
But he doesn't have a lot of range.
But he plays, and that's the thing, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, now like George Clooney doesn't have a lot of range, but
he's great. Exactly. Someone who has that perfect character to play, and they play it well, that's just as good as being able to play all different kinds of characters because you know what you can play. But when they step out of it and they try, which of course you're going to try because they don't want to get bored. But Clint Eastwood knows what to play, and he's a guy who's reinvented the Western twice. He's reinvented it, of course, with the Man with No Name trilogy. I would say even more so with,
as an actor.
As an actor, yes. Yeah. But I think as an actor and a director, he did it with High Plains Drifter. Yeah. He totally took the Western and tilted it on its head. And as a director and a writer, which is my favorite Clint Eastwood Western, is High Plains Drifter.
Over Josie Wales, and Unforgiven.
Yeah, I like the weird supernatural, spiritual thing. And that movie had a huge effect on me as a kid.
What do you think about Pale Rider?
Pale Rider's cool too, but like
because that's supernatural too. Yeah, he's like more of a benevolent cowboy ghost.
Yeah, but I think I mentioned before that like
I just love using that. That's my favorite phrase.
It was more for me. It was the shock, and I've mentioned it before, but like reading the back of the VHS cover and seeing about a man rides into town and kills a couple people in cold blood and rapes a woman, and my immediate thought was I can't wait till Clint Eastwood kicks this guy's ass. And it's not until you watch the movie that you realize that's Clint Eastwood. Yeah. And it totally flipped everything on my side. And like this whole idea where like the townspeople are all afraid and like, cowards. And then he repaints the town red, calls it hell, and just kicks the shit out of all these guys at the end of the movie. That for me was really cool. And there is like this kind of ambiguous, was that him who was killed? Was it his brother who was killed? Because Clint Eastwood's stuntman plays the man who was killed because he looks like Clint Eastwood. So it's always around. But yeah. The second time he'd really, and I'd say The Unforgiven is a better movie, obviously.
Pale Rider, it's much more explicit or much more heavily implied that he is the ghost of the guy.
Yeah. I think he even disappears at the end when he's like riding off.
Yeah, but like he shoots the dude like in the same like pattern and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like, he looks like bad. I remember his look in that movie is really sleek. Like he looks like out of like East of West or some kind of like Western comic nowadays. But like The Unforgiven, which is one of like his absolute finest roles and best movies, and it won the best film. Is the second time I'd say he really reinvented the Western, because then he not only is he reinventing it, but he's like reinventing himself with that movie. Like having to get on the horse again, having to shoot again. Like there's a great scene where he's trying to hit the can or the bottle and he can't do it, and he just takes out a shotgun and blows it away. And that's a movie that really deconstructs the Western like crazy.
Oh yeah.
And so again, I love Clint Eastwood movies. I can go on Clint Eastwood marathons whenever, all the time with like,
be a good successor to Nicolas Cage.
I probably would. Yeah, actually, all the Dirty Harry movies, all of his westerns.
You have to watch the Iger Sanction. Yeah. And I own Every Which Way But Loose and Any Which Way You Can.
Because I don't own those ones, so I'll borrow those ones from you.
To see him those
are like my mom's favorite.
Yeah, he's anyone who hasn't heard of those films, and I don't blame you by any means. He's a bare knuckle boxer that travels across the country with his pet orangutan named Clyde, just beating the shit out of bikers, and it's glorious.
Yeah, man, Clint Eastwood.
There was a period in college, much to my roommate's chagrin, where I would just sing the theme song to the first film, and they hated me for it.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah, my dad.
I don't even know what the theme song is, but based on the premise, I can't imagine that the theme song's that good.
Yeah.
My dad always sold me on the Dirty Harry movies when I was younger. Again, probably shouldn't have been in the same age, the appropriate age watching a Dirty Harry movie, but he would. I don't know where the conversation was or whatever, and he goes, "Hey, man, I love Clint Eastwood and Dirty Harry. He stops a robbery while eating a hot dog." Mm-hmm. And that was this like image I put in my head. I was like, I gotta see this. I've got to see this. And he does. He's just eating a hot dog, and he just walks out there.
Everyone thinks the Make My Day lines from Dirty Harry. It's from Sudden Impact.
Yeah, the fourth one. That one's funny too, because like he's just like not paying attention, looking at the newspaper, and the woman is like pouring it's actual mound of sugar in his coffee. And he's like, "Oh, thanks, see you later." And he gets outside and takes a sip, and it just like spits it out, and he sees they immediately close the sign to make it all closed. And there's a lot of great one-liners in the Dirty Harry films. One of my favorite is not necessarily the "Make My Day" line, but he's like, "We're not just gonna let you walk out of here." And he's like, "Who's we, sucker?" And he's like, "Smith, Wesson, and me." And he pulls out his pistol, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like, you know.
I forget which one it is, but there's also a line if I remember correctly, all of them kind of, you know, like play on the racial tension of the era, but like
certainly the first in Sudden Impact.
Yeah, but there's just one line that kind of stuck in my head that like always kind of makes me chuckle. But like I think he's like just talking to an informant or a potential suspect or something like that. But it's a room of African Americans, and one of them like holds his jacket or something like that, and he's like, "Oh, it's mighty white of you." And I just in hindsight, it's so ridiculous, but I totally see that being something that that character would have actually felt back in that time period.
Yeah. I mean, the ever see the Deadpool?
Oh, the fifth one with Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
Credited, I think, as James Carrey?
Yeah. And at the very end of the film, he takes the dude... Well, first off, they're the big chase sequence. They're being chased by an explosive RC fucking car through the streets of San Francisco. And the last guy he takes out, like, he's walking through the pier and, like, through the mist. And he doesn't take him out with his signature, like, 44 Magnum. He takes him out with a giant fucking harpoon.
Yeah. We're going big and going home.
And then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the last Dirty Harry movie.
You can also add to your list of Clint Eastwood movies the Return of the Creature, the second Creature from the Black Lagoon movie, because that was his first theatrical film appearance.
He was also supposed to be Two-Face in the Batman 66 show.
Oh, that would have been great.
That'd been really cool.
They've introduced that character, the Two-Face character, in the 66 comic.
Yeah,
right?
they did a one-shot.
The Lost episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I remember seeing. I guess it's the cover with just like Two-Face just kind of sitting back on a chair.
So there's some cool.
I remember it looked really cool, and then it had like Adam West, Batman, and Burt Ward, Robin, like going in the background.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's pretty cool.
But I mean, he's I would say just director-wise because of
here's a question for you: is Ben Affleck a better actor or director?
Ooh. See, that's tough because.
Does Ben Affleck make better choices on the movies he acts in, or does he make better choices of the movie he directs? Because I think that's a more
Ben Affleck accurate. Now it's up to debate.
Yeah, I'm just saying because I think Ben Affleck does a good job acting, but I think he has a questionable taste in what movies he acts in.
Like
I think he always does a good job in his role, but he chooses some very bad movies.
Yeah, I mean, not as much anymore.
Yeah.
But he's like 90s, early 2000s Affleck, sure.
Yeah,
I for a while.
But I will say director.
Before the Argo resurgence in the town and all that kind of stuff, I always was like he's the
Baby Gone.
Yeah, he's the better director, and I thought Casey Affleck was the better actor. Like if you're gonna split the family, kind of whatever.
Yeah.
Affleck's he's very good. Funny enough, I the more I think about it, because I've seen it twice now, his performance in Gone Girl is like slowly becoming one of my favorites because he's like unraveling,
Mm-hmm.
And now he's the next Fincher movie. He's cast Affleck again.
Oh, really? Nice.
I guess he loved working with him.
They worked really well together.
Which one's is it Back to the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo trilogy, or is it a different one?
I don't know what this. It's
something
different.
Like they're never going to make.
I don't know if
Girl
they'll
Play with Fire, which bums me out.
Or Kick the Hornet's Nest.
Girl Play with Fire is the second one.
Second one,
yeah. I thought after Gone Girl's success, Fincher was like, all right, sweet, I can finally get back to the Dragon Tattoo.
I haven't.
I thought I had read that. So
I hope that'd be great because I
love the.
I thought he did a great job adapting it. It was kind of silly to adapt it so quickly to an English film, but for what it was, I thought that it was on par.
Yeah,
and for me, it was a lot easier to actually, because I'm no good with subtitles.
Sure.
And by the time I had watched it, it hadn't been dubbed yet.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if it has been dubbed now.
It has.
Yeah.
I haven't. Yeah. But the I mean, I feel like it isn't the second installment of that, but I could be wrong. I mean, Fincher. He's got his clout back. You know. after Gone Girl. I feel like it kind of sputtered a bit after The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, because unfortunately it didn't do as well as Sony was hoping.
Mm-hmm.
And then he ended up dropping out of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea with Disney, because it's like David Fincher directing a Disney movie is going to be weird.
A feel-bad movie.
Yeah.
Of the summer.
Yeah. Kirk Douglas's character is just like so flawed. Like just
Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck as the character. That would have been fantastic. But we did Zodiac, right? Did he do Zodiac?
Hold on, I'm on his. Yes, he did.
Okay, I like Zodiac.
I mean, I like most of his films.
And speaking of Zodiac, that was the Zodiac Killer was the inspiration for the Dirty Harry film.
Yeah.
Oh, was he? Oh.
Yeah, Scorpio, yeah.
Oh, very interesting.
And so much that they go see Dirty Harry in the movie, and Mark Ruffalo's character's like, that wasn't anything like,
Yeah.
he's kind of like based on like, that character, and he kind of plays off like, okay, yeah, whatever. But yeah, they go see Dirty Harry in Zodiac.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, which of the Best Picture nominees would you be jumping up and down? Would it be Whiplash for you guys that you'd want to?
Oh yeah,
really want to see?
So sorry. So basically, take Sam's list and take out Whiplash and put in the Theory of Everything. I have not seen Whiplash yet, or Selma, or Boyhood, or the Grand Budapest Hotel.
Whereas the only one that I have seen is Birdman.
Oh really?
Yeah. Although I'm really itching to see Whiplash, because I am myself a drummer, and it sounds like it's actually like a really good portrayal of drummers in terms of like the few movies that we do have, like Drumline.
Really? Because they kick the shit out of them in this movie.
I'm not saying it's a feel good.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like it sounds more interesting and probably more accurate to what actually happens in like intense drumming.
Yeah, like in private music competitions,
Yeah.
private music schools. Like it's kind of like this Juilliard-esque.
Yeah.
Conservatory. Or,
And also like it just a lot of times in movies, if they do have like musicians in general, like it's a lot easier to fake playing another instrument, whereas like drum, your whole body is moving and you're hitting to the beat. And it would be nice to see a movie where they
to their credit, Miles Teller does all his own drumming in that film too.
Nice.
Like it's like and the stuff apparently he actually bled on the fucking drums, and the director was just like, I've got what I needed, but let's just keep them going.
I did that once, but that's because I have terrible technique as a drummer. I just blistered my hands like crazy. I did an hour-long jam of Whiplash by the Allman Brothers.
Yeah.
And it was just like, my hands looked like just hamburger meat afterwards. Because I have no technique with drums whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. That's what caused the drummer for the Donnas to get carpal tunnel. She had really bad technique.
Ringo Starr once had blisters on his fingers.
Right, he did.
I thought that was John Lennon.
I was always surprised when when the Beatles Rock Band came out and people were like, "Oh, was Ringo said that?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, why? Who else would say it? Who else plays drums like that?
Yeah.
On that song. I mean, granted, yes,
he throws
Paul has played other Beatles
afterwards.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess you could get calluses on your fingers if you were playing guitar.
They did, yeah. But I mean, like they did a.
I've gotten calluses.
They did a 30-minute jam of Helter Skelter where George Harrison put the cigarette ashtray on his head on fire and ran around. Like they said, it was like a detox. Like because it was the White Album, they were going nuts.
Yeah, it's the album where they start to break up. Yeah. I mean, that's. I personally want to see Boyhood. That's like the one that I want to see next.
Curtis at my bar, he started. He was talking to me because he knows I'm into movies. And he was talking to me about the Oscar, Best Picture guys, and I was telling him about how the only one I've seen is Birdman, and he was like, oh well, I just started watching Boyhood last night, and I was like, oh, that looked really interesting. Unfortunately, it looked kind of like a boring. Like coming of age story that I wasn't terribly excited about. I was more excited about the novelty of it being filmed in real time. And he was telling me that he got about halfway through it, and he was like, it's really like a beautiful character piece, and it's very interesting. Like all the actors do a really good job, but yeah, it's very slow, And I was like, well. Makes sense that it was Oscar fodder, but no, I do want to check it out, and it, But yeah, from my end, it definitely, unfortunately, like more for the novelty of how it was filmed than interest in the actual story.
Yeah. I mean, that's a ballsy commitment, committing to 12 years of filming with the
also illegal.
Yeah, they had to keep it under the table for the longest time.
Yeah. Yes, illegal because the children were minors, and you can't commit a minor to more than like a 2-year contract or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was 12.
Yeah. But I mean, it's the one that I'm certainly. I mean, it's no longer in theaters because it's been out in DVD since like the beginning of the month. So that's what I want to kind of check off the old list next.
Oddly enough, as much as you guys know, my distaste for Wes Anderson, for some reason, like I'm like highly considering also checking out Grand Budapest Hotel.
I own it. I haven't seen it. But
oddly enough, my mom was flipping through the channels the other day, and it just happened to.
It's on HBO Go. I think.
Yeah, she just happened to stop on Grand Budapest, and first thing she said she was like, "Why isn't this in widescreen?" You know, because it's at least on on HBO, and like everything that I've seen, it looks like it is in the square screen format, and I was like, oh, fucking Wes Anderson doing dumb shit. And then she asked me if it was any good, and I was like, I am not a good person to ask that because I dislike the director.
By a source.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm not a fan of this, and this in general, for his style, but I don't know anything about this movie in particular. So I walked away. 5 minutes later, she was like, "Oh my god, I can't watch this," and she switched channels.
Yeah,
for the same reasons that I don't like Wes Anderson.
It looks funnier than some of his more recent films, like Moonrise Kingdom and that sort of thing. So, I do want to check it out. I mean, I fucking own it, so I better.
You've committed.
Yeah,
you've committed, my friend.
Yeah.
Did you like that picture that I sent you, the Grand Buddha Prince Hotel? Or did you see that?
I don't think I saw that.
It was.
I get thousands of texts and emails and notifications today, Chris. Thousands and thousands.
Mr. Popular here. It basically was
Millions.
just like a screenshot of like the front desk in the hotel, but it's a picture of Prince wearing like a bellhop uniform.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
Prince.
I thought you'd like it since you love Prince.
Prince is great. People were all about Prince when he showed up at the Golden Globes.
Now, this is changing gears completely.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Gere's.
Yeah, Richard Gere's in The Jackal. I don't know why it's always Richard Gere.
In the second best Marigold Hotel or whatever, he shows up and he's like the hottest thing on the planet.
Yeah, and all the women that have gone through menopause are like, oh,
yeah,
my lord, yeah, my lords, Richard Gere. But he just plays himself. I wish I'll definitely see a movie if that's the case. But Tom Hardy's not in Suicide Squad anymore.
Yeah.
We talked about that when they first announced the casting and David Ayer was directing it.
A quick thing, and I'm not just doing this because we mention this trailer all the time, but I finally saw the Mad Max trailer on the big screen before American Sniper. It was so freaking cool. Like, it was just so cool. But
it's just apocalyptic intensity.
The music and like you're like it's like rumbling everywhere and you're freaking going crazy. And it's just like, Mad freaking Max. I just wanted to stand up and be like, 2015 belongs to the Mad. But that was cool. Speaking of Tom Hardy. But yeah, like Tom Hardy's dropped out of Suicide Squad. I honestly don't know the particulars of it. I don't know if it was a...
How random, because they like just announced it like, just a handful of weeks ago. He's already...
Yeah, I had heard because he's going to be working with the director from Birdman.
Well, also, the shooting for Revenant is going... over schedule. And of course he's got his press commitments for Fury Road soon. And I don't know, I've also heard that Suicide Squad focuses more on
Harley?
Deadshot and
that is the official fist out Deadshot.
Yeah, because he has the wrist gun. Yeah. Deadshot
like
and
Black Widow, but they keep forgetting about in the Avengers movies.
Yeah. He what's the other and the Joker. Those are the two primary characters in Suicide Squad.
Jared Leto.
Yes. So the rumor is Jake Gyllenhaal, since he's worked with David Ayers in End of Watch, is going to be the new Rick Flag.
I also feel like, do you think there's a part of where it's like it is a multi-contract thing, like a lot of commitment. And he was lucky for the DC thing where he got to be in a DC movie with no multi-contract because Bane is one and done.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I don't know.
Most villains are.
Yeah, so I don't know if maybe he was like, yeah, you know what? Like I still.
Do you know that Alfred Molina was multi-film for Dr. Octopus?
Yeah. But
I would have loved that. I loved Alfred Molina.
Yeah.
In general, I think does a great job.
Does a good octopus.
Yeah, I actually just recently rewatched that one because like we've been talking about Spider-Man movies, and I'm like, man, I feel like I've only seen Spider-Man 2 like once, and it's like touted as one of the best ones that they did.
I always catch it on TNT.
I have the first 2 on DVD, and I was just like, you know what, fuck it, let's do it. And I remembered that Joel McHale is in it, and I was like, yeah.
For the bank scene.
Yeah.
John Landis is in it.
Yeah.
Goes out hard. I think he's the first person killed by Dr. Octopus, actually.
in the very Evil Dead-esque scene.
Yeah, in the surgery
I
scene.
forgot.
Oh my god, that movie just reminded me of all like the best things about how ridiculous Sam Raimi's directing style is.
Yeah,
and I loved every second of it.
I love Sam Raimi.
Like especially that like hospital scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like that hospital scene was like watching a high budget Evil Dead 2.
Yeah,
I forgot that Tom Hardy's going to be Elton John.
Yeah,
in Rocket Man.
Has there been any? Like, did they film it already?
No, I don't know. I was checking his IMDb while we were talking just to see if they had anything about some upcoming projects. One of them's called Untitled Tom Hardy Biker Project.
Ooh.
So we'll see.
Sequel to Mad Max.
But yeah, I wonder if they have if he had signed a multi-contract deal for that or not. But
probably.
Yeah, I mean it's Mad Max. They'll probably do hopefully another trilogy or something. But I don't know. It's he's playing Elton John, which is awesome. It's weird because I've been like listening to a lot of Elton John lately. Like
Crocodile Rock?
No, not really.
Crocodile Rock, 24 hours
Actually,
a day.
the 24 hours a day has been just a song, Someone Save My Life Tonight. Like I think that's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, I was going to say Billy Joel, Elton John song.
I mean, to be fair, it is Billy Joel's best song, too.
It is. He's very, very talented on that one.
Yeah. Right.
Tickling the ivories on that one. Very talented. Very talented man.
With those eyes.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I've been listening to a lot of Kiss recently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of music that we're listening to, I procured an extensive discography of their studio albums.
Cured.
And I've been listening to them, and like I remember a while ago we had joked about my love for Lick It Up, just because I love how ridiculous the music video for that song is. But I realized that I actually really enjoy that album, in itself, and it's got a lot of what I call like kind of like grungy Kiss, where it's not as hair metally and not as like hoo hoo, but like more like and.
Have you ever heard the Kiss song "Unholy"?
That's a good one. That's
funny
in
because
that
Vinnie
too.
Vincent helped write that song, and then he's all about the album "Lick It Up." Like comes in like a bat out of hell and just writes most of that album.
Vinnie Vincent and I would get along, and we could.
It's funny
hold
because
on to dead bodies.
Yeah, well,
dog bodies.
Dogs.
Yeah.
Together.
Together.
But yeah. So I'm just gonna say that Vinnie Vincent's your favorite member of Kiss.
I guess so.
Like
that's such a Chris Nolan. That's such a Chris Nolan member.
They're an
like,
Eric Carr.
Yeah.
Well, Eric Carr
all the way.
Yeah.
Vinnie Vincent's fascinating to me, but like he's
an interesting.
One of his solos, very quick.
Yeah.
In the Kiss.
Very technically great.
Yeah.
Arguably the best guitarist.
Gene said that after the original members, the most talented person to be in the lineup of Kiss was Vinnie Vincent.
Yeah.
Like that's the one nice thing I've heard him really say about Vinnie Vincent.
You and I will still have to like sit down and have our like Kiss
history with
yes
and
a
talk
history.
History. Yeah.
What have I been? I've been listening to a lot of kind of like synth stuff. Anything that really gets my ass bouncing. Chromeo gets the ass bouncing. Both cheeks.
At separate times.
Yeah.
Call me up.
Yeah. Like if you think about it, like the sound wave thing.
Yeah, your sound with your cheeks.
Yeah.
But they're waving too, so it's not just like they're like one cheek up at a time. It's like they're actually like
there's
ripple.
There's
ripple
effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ripples of the cheeks.
I have a ripply ass.
Unnecessary truths with Sam Stone.
Yeah.
Pure cure.
Yeah. Real life, Sam Stone, Ripley ass. The
Ellen Ripley ass.
You think you know, but you have no idea.
Ripley's Believe It or Not. Chromeo, absolutely. Yeah. Gorillaz, that song Stilo, for some reason.
Gorillaz are great.
And that music video's got Bruce Willis.
Does it really?
Yeah.
I've never seen the music video.
He kills, like, he basically, it's this old style, like, 70s. It's great if you just love, like, fucking dancing to Gorillaz, which, I mean, I do.
Now, the real question is, does he appear in the song as well?
Oh, yes.
Does Bruno return?
Oh, in the song? No.
Not just the music video.
There's no harmonica solo?
No. The music video is basically he's chasing them through, like, the desert in, like, the southwestern United States in, like, this old, like, Ford Mustang, and he basically just shoots them all and runs them off the road, and they get absorbed by a jellyfish. It's pretty.
Sounds about right.
Stylo, look it up.
You know, speaking of just like wild and wacky fun music videos, you know another one that I really like doesn't have a Bruce Willis in it, but the
so it's not good enough.
Knights of Sidonia video for Muse. It's like the cyber western kind of thing. That's an awesome music video.
Have you ever heard the song "My Type" by Saint Motel?
No.
They're an Australian band, and it's kind of like it's got horns and groovy rhythms, and it just like
I love a good groove, man. I love a good groove to the synth. That's just for days.
I just, my coworkers catching me singing into my Hong Kong Phooey action figure, just going like bananas.
You just grab the nearest thing, just singing into his head.
It happens to be Hong Kong Phooey. It could be like on my computer. I've got the Tron Man, Robbie the Robot, and E.T.
Okay, yeah, from the little guys. I got a Dread finally.
You showed me it. Yeah. And off to the side of my desk, where like by the window, I've got a pop figure for Hong Kong Phooey and Leonardo because he's my favorite Ninja Turtle.
Those are the only two pop figures you have?
At home, I've got
the Mass Effect one, right?
I've got Commander Shepard and Miranda Lawson, and who's the Yvonne Strahovski in 2 and 3, and I've also got Batman Beyond and Nightwing.
Oh, nice, very nice. Yeah.
And I think I'm going to get all the classic Universal.
Yeah, I hope they do an Invisible Man one.
They have Dragon Ball Z as well.
Do they really? Yeah. They have a Krillin one?
They don't have a Krillin one.
Whoa, hold on.
I don't think they have a Krillin one.
Krillin is a walking pop figure. You know what I mean? Like, he is a chode man with a bald head.
Yeah,
like,
with the dots.
Yeah, with the dots. Why don't I have a pop figure, Goku?
He might. I know they've got they've got regular Goku, Super Saiyan Goku.
Wouldn't it be funny if like they're all the normal size and the Goku one's tinier? But the same size. The Krillin one. Why am I taller than you, Goku?
Yeah, I mean, if there's anybody on that show, that him and Master Roshi would be like the best.
They're walking pop figures on the show.
Yeah.
Well, if they do a Krillin man, I'm all in for a Krillin pop figure.
I will let you know.
I want a Dragon Ball one, like not a Dragon Ball Z. Like I want I like young Krillin. And again, to
be fair, there's not much difference.
That's true, but like I don't want like the hair, like like the.
Well, he doesn't get the hair until the last couple.
Slade
seasons.
Wilson hair.
Oh, the flat
Lego.
top.
Yeah.
The Arrow DLC for Lego Batman 3 is like the best DLC.
So
pack.
awesome! It's better than some levels.
And it's got Stephen Amell voicing himself.
Arrow.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah,
who cares about Stephen Amell's
Dude, Stephen
Arrow?
Pure cure you out of this room. Stephen Amell is amazing.
Do you even know how to use the word?
I've been using it 3 times. Stephen Amell is
almost as many as 4.
Yeah, Stephen Amell is a gift. Is a gift on this planet.
Yeah. It was a good. It was my favorite of the because I found a lot of the DLC stuff for Lego Batman 3 to be kind of underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the characters you can unlock were really fun. Like the Dark Knight Returns Lego is ginormous. Like it's Fat Man.
Yeah,
but like it is in the comic. But Sam and I beat the entire game. Like we beat 100%.
Every achievement.
Every achievement, every gold coin, every red brick.
I've only done that for 10 games.
Yeah, every Adam West. Yeah, like you said, all the achievements, all the DLCs, wipe clean, done. Every character. How many characters was in the end? Like 140 something?
140, 160 some.
160 some. All the vehicles.
Yep.
I drove around the 89 Batmobile in Lego form. It was freaking awesome.
I drove around the Flashmobile, which shouldn't exist.
It goes it goes slower than the actual Flash figure in the game, which, if anyone doesn't need a mode of transportation, it's the Flash.
The Flash, yeah.
So, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun, man. And we're working on the Star Wars Complete Saga now. Started that. Still on episode 1.
For some reason, and we're doing it in episode order. Yeah, like you were saying, we're starting with Phantom Menace, and I don't give a shit You know, like you would think that's like, oh, I'm going to play the complete saga. I can choose from any one of the 6 episodes. Let's start with the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Should have done it in machete order.
I should have, but the
well, the game will the thing of it, the game will get progressively better.
Yes, but the thing is, even playing episode 1, there's something about Lego Star Wars that has that, and the fact that that Star Wars #1 came out on Wednesday.
Comic book sound like freaking crazy.
It's the best-selling comic book since Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, #1.
Nice. I was there for both days.
Yeah,
those are crazy days at the shop.
Yeah, that's a great. I mean, and I originally was just going to get like the Star Wars Monthly, but based on the quality of it and the preview art,
dude, Vader all the way. Man.
I'm in for Darth Vader and I'm in for Princess
Leia. Well, your boy
does
Princess Leia.
Mark Waid.
Marcus Wade.
Yeah, my favorite Mark Waid.
Yeah.
How many Mark Wades are there?
There's probably a lot of. That seems like it's a fairly common name.
Is it W-A-I-D?
Wade? Yeah, it's not that weird.
Maybe W-A-D-E.
Okay, well, I mean, for spelling, okay, yeah,
but phonetically, it's
yeah.
the
There's
same.
a lot of Wades, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Wade Boggs.
Yeah, and now you know what?
I use it as a first name. Why not? Not even the same thing we're talking about. And I love that you.
We're all in on the Wade.
Hey, high five, because that was a sports player.
Right?
How pure of you.
4, there it is.
I'm gonna punch you at the end of this.
Pause this podcast.
Watch me.
So Chris
Watch me. Yeah.
I'm gonna pause this podcast. Punch Jake.
Well, I'll be watching the Mad Max trailer while you're punching me in the mouth.
Do it. Pause this podcast and watch the new Mad Max trailer.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's the same one. It's
I'm just saying, watch it again.
Yeah, watch the second. Watch both of them. And then watch the Chappie trailer, because I'm looking forward to Chappie, too. That movie looks awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks better than Elysium.
It's like, I am
fair
Chappie.
enough.
I am consciousness. I am alive. I am Chappie.
It stars Die Antwoord.
I don't know who that is.
They're a South American.
Oh,
or
the
South African band. The brother and sister.
Okay, yeah, okay,
guys.
I do know. I just didn't know their name.
Yeah,
but I like their music, but they freak me out visually.
The guy supposedly shows Chappie how to be like hip and like cool with like the dollar chain around his neck and stuff, and like with the kind of walk. And Hugh Jackman has like kind of a mullet,
and he's using his native accent for once.
Yeah,
it's very
Weavers in it.
Yeah, yeah, but the fuck were we talking about?
Lego,
Star Wars. Yeah, those two things have kind of reignited my passion in Star Wars, and that's I think the greatest compliment I can pay to both the Star Wars #1.
Get it done.
Here's
the thing about here's the thing about Star Wars #1. And this is my selling point. When someone comes in the shop, they're like, "Is it any good?" I put the book down on the table and I open the first page. And a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. You turn the page again. Giant splash page. Star Wars. You turn it again. Crawl.
Text crawl.
Ooh.
And I'm like, try not to have the music playing in your head when you see that. And it's sold.
It's playing in my head
now. Yeah, it's so just perfect. It's such a wonderful book.
I wonder if they're going to start each issue with that.
Yeah, why not? I'm looking very much forward to the Darth Vader one, because in the new movies coming out, like, Vader's not around anymore, and he's my favorite character in the books, or in the series. So, he did. So I'm looking forward to the Vader one and the Leia one, because it's got Marcus Wade Boggs in it. Or writing it. He's not in it.
Marcus Wade Boggs Skaggs.
Yeah.
I mean, he's written himself basically into S.H.I.E.L.D.
Has he?
Coulson in the S.H.I.E.L.D. comic is basically Mark Waid.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah,
because it's Mark Waid.
Everyone loves Mark Waid.
Yeah,
but not Coulson.
Yeah,
except for DC Comics these days.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because he's like the biggest DC fan on earth.
Yeah. He loves Superman too.
Yeah.
Don't ask him about Man of Steel though.
I've talked to him about Man of Steel.
I know, but I feel like he's just burned
but
out on that.
Did you ask him about Man of Steel, or did you just talk to him?
No, he asked him.
Yeah.
He asked him, like, "What are your thoughts? I love Superman Returns." And he like stopped writing for a second, looked up at him, and he was like, "Me too."
Yeah, that's the greatest source of validation I get from enjoying Superman Returns.
Yeah, so if anyone throws shit at Sam, they're like, "Hey,
two people liked Superman Returns."
Well, if anyone,
one of which is like one of the best Superman writers of all time.
Yeah, the guy who like reinvented Superman for the 21st century.
Yeah.
for him to be like, you know what, I like Superman Returns
just
too.
Because he's a good writer, doesn't
like, you know,
mean he has good taste.
So like, let's say Sam like walks into a room and people are just screaming at him like, Superman Returns sucks, fuck you, Superman Returns sucks, and then he comes up to Mark Waid and he's like, hey, do you like Superman Returns? And he's like, yeah, I thought it was great, and then just raindrops keep falling on my head, starts playing. He's just walking around
yeah. We both skip into the
arm in arm, yeah. And he's like, hey, Sam, how would you like me?
Skipping on a rainbow.
Yeah. How would you like me to write you in the Shield too?
Yeah.
And then Sam's in Shield.
That'd be so cool. I mean, all my interactions with Mark Waid, and I've talked about him after we did the Baltimore Comic-Con episode, have always been great. He's always been like...
He's super nice. For a guy of that high caliber, sometimes you get a little weary, you know? Like, you never know you're going to catch them. Even if they're super nice, you catch them on a bad day, they're tired, they have a sketch that they're doing for somebody, and they got to get it done, you know?
I think the big thing is I never ask him about his work. Yeah. Like, hey, man, I thought it was so cool when you had, like, Wally West become Kid Flash.
Yeah.
Hey, I thought it was... I thought it was so cool when you made Superman a vegetarian. I actually thought it was a mistake in retrospect.
I'm sorry. Fuck me then, right? Okay, bye. But yeah, if you can get them to stop writing for a second, look up at you and have a conversation, that's cool, man.
Like talking about Flash villains.
Like when you talk to Greg Peck. Pack.
Oh, yeah, Greg Peck. Sorry. I was like, huh?
Walter Peck.
Yeah. Talking to Greg Peck about how his mixed hair... Because that was always something that I identified with Superman about. The kind of the split heritage kind of stuff. Being raised, on Earth, as in, like, small-town Kansas versus coming from a fucking alien society. And I was always like, hey, does that inform your writing about that? And he was like, yeah, it's definitely in the DNA. And I was like, cool, because...
Yeah, I guess it does.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? Yeah, I don't really pay attention to writing.
Yeah, I just sign the checks. Just keep them coming. I've been digging his Action Comics run though. It's been really good.
Good.
Yeah, I thought it was an improvement over. Honestly, he's the best writer on Action Comics since Grant Morrison.
Ooh. You know who I've been reading and enjoying a lot, who I think is put on this earth to write this character, is Jason Aaron in Ghost Rider, because like he just gets in Ghost Rider's skull unlike anybody else.
It's a great run.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're talking imagining music while listening comics. You just imagine like all kinds of like southern rock while reading his run.
Oh yeah, just metal, and he's because he taps into the southern thing, and I think a lot of people forget, like, Johnny Blaze is like this southern guy, he's
from, like, Texas or something.
Yeah, he's not like a suave biker guy. He was like, well, I don't know,
Evil Knievel.
Yeah, I feel like some people got that, which is fine if you want to think that, but like honestly, like, he is this like southern guy, and he's
closer to Elvis and Roustabout.
Mm-hmm. And
it's
so
as obscure as I'll get today.
Yeah, I just nodded for yes on that one, because I don't know what you're talking about. What the hell's an Elvis? And it's good. I'm only on volume 2, and then he did 3 volumes, and then
you got to get to the 3rd volume to understand what.
I guess. And then there's a miniseries he did called Heaven's on Fire. Right? Yeah, I think it's just a Kiss song too.
Is it? I mean, it's a great. It's
what
closes out his run.
Him and Danny Ketch team up, kick a lot of ass. I just love when like legacy characters hang out together because they have this shared thing, like the Flash or Green Lantern. I've been starting Kyle Rayner's run from the beginning. His intro of like, a lot of characters always do the "my name is so and so and I'm blah blah blah."
Ugh.
I love.
I'm Oliver Queen.
Yeah,
I have failed this city.
I must become someone else, something else. Dun 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 dun. And then
so tired of those intros.
Fuck you. And then sorry,
I'm Agent Carter.
Yeah. Kyle Rayner starts. You open his book, and it's like, my name is Kyle Rayner, and I have no idea what I'm doing. And you see him in, he's wearing the classic Hal Jordan outfit because he hasn't made his own fucking badass best Green Lantern freaking outfit of all time with the visor, and he's getting thrown through a window like with his clothes all ripped up. And I'm like, that's the perfect way to introduce the new Green Lantern in comic books. And I've only read a couple issues, but it's a lot of fun. And for me, it always it calls back to like when I was a kid. Like, I liked a superhero base. Like, if their costume looked cool, I'm in. And like all the Green Lanterns, line them up in a row. Kyle Rayner looks the coolest. I'm gonna read him right now.
I remember a while ago when I went through reading the entire Emerald Twilight saga, where Hal Jordan goes evil and Kyle Rayner is introduced. Mm-hmm. I remember that exactly what you're talking about. I really loved the way they introduced him.
And his girlfriend Alex, whatever, is like, you're an artist. Like, create your own outfit. He's like, how about this? And he just looks awesome. Like he's so cool. And then
his constructs were always the coolest because he's artistic.
He'll use characters he's created. He'll use Superman or Batman. He'll use anything, And Sam and I were talking about this, and Rebirth has, Jeff Johns is the man, and he it perfectly sums up each lantern and how their constructs work, And when you see how Kyle Rayner works, it's a actual a construct of a hand and a pencil erasing some of his construct to fix it. And it's like he's never satisfied. He's an artist.
Yeah. They deconstruct them even more in a I forget which storyline it was, but it was one of volume 2 or 3 of the New 52, the Green Lantern with the first Lantern story arc.
Yeah, because you see all these alternate futures or whatever, alternate paths.
Yeah, basically he the first Lantern gets inside all of their heads and kind of goes through how they became Lantern and then shows them how much quote unquote better their life would be if they had never done it, just so he can suck the power from them to become, he himself becomes stronger. It was really cool.
Yeah, and then when we were playing Lego Batman, I think the last actual person we unlocked, not because you have to get a certain amount of coins, the last person we unlocked was the freaking White Lantern, which is Kyle Rayner with the hair and the visor.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's all I'm gonna be for the rest of the game. Yeah, and just was the White Lantern flying around.
Yeah,
so
it was all right.
Remember when they turned Kyle Rayner into Ion?
Yeah,
that was dumb.
It did introduce and then Jeff Johns changed it up and he was like, it's entities. He has the power of the avatar of willpower.
Yeah,
but
that was better.
But he didn't do a lot with it. For someone that had that level of power, and they even addressed that in the first issue of Sinestro Corps War. He's like, yep, Kyle Rayner's totally hands down the most strongest fucking lantern with the power of Ion, and then Sinestro rips it out of his chest, and he's like, oh. Well, there that went.
Mm-hmm. And then later, Sinestro tried to embody Parallax and couldn't handle it, if I remember correctly.
Well, he kills all the Guardians.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. The first time he tries it, he can't. It prefers Hal Jordan because it had spent so much time with Hal Jordan when he was Parallax in the 90s.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh, welcome back. But then, and
guess who's back, motherfucker?
Yeah, Sinestro got so jealous, and then later he finally gets it, and he uses it to kill the Guardians.
Maybe Sinestro should have tried to take on the Orange Lantern if he was so jealous.
Yeah. I did like that ended up going to Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
I thought that fit.
Yeah. What are the avarice is what they...
Yeah.
That's the big fucking college word that they use.
Yeah,
which
greed.
Means greed.
Yeah. I remember a friend of mine sat down because at the end of the single issue, not the collection of Sinestro Corps War, they tease all the lanterns, and it's like, well, some of the popular DC characters are going to become the other 6 lanterns, and they do in Blackest Night. Mm-hmm. And we kind of ran almost like a bracket, who will be each. And it's like, well, Superman would totally be Hope, and then he totally wasn't. But if there was anyone that would, you would think...
No, he was Compassion, right?
No, he was dead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's been a while since I've read it.
Yeah. Nobody saw that coming, that he would die during that story. But yeah. It was...
But you know what? Probably for the best that Superman didn't have a power ring.
Oh, God. He would be so just unchecked.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever hear about this is fairly news to me because I don't read really any Spawn. I think he's cool. I watched the HBO cartoon they did. But
I watched the movie.
In the movie.
Michael J. White.
Where it's issue 10, Todd McFarlane and Dave Sim, and Todd McFarlane invited for a king's ransom a bunch of artists on the writers on the book, like Neil Gaiman, Dave Sim, Frank Miller, Grant Morrison was on later, and him and Dave Sim do this book where you find out the 7th circle of hell are all the characters that were created by somebody and then sold, like Superman, Batman, all these characters, and Superman talks to Spawn, and it basically talks to him about this is where all the characters go when they're sold. And it's basically Todd McFarlane and Dave Sim's way of saying they're never going to sell their characters. And in the end, Spawn goes home to a wife and child, and he's asking why do I get this? And he's like, because your creator never sold you, and he never will. And Spawn has a happy ending in this book, and then the book ends with
giant middle finger from Todd McFarlane to the big two.
Yeah, when it's like, Spawn, Todd McFarlane, copyright created by Spawn, or created by Spawn, created by and copyright by Todd McFarlane, ... forever, or whatever. Like, we're never gonna. It was an interesting idea, like the very meta thing of like characters when they're
kind of very Grant Morrison and Limbo.
Yeah.
Well, he would talk about, because he had been in contention with Marvel for a while, because he's like, you know what? I created Venom. And they were like, you know what? No, you didn't. And
I'm going to go write the most successful comic book of all time for a period, Spawn.
And he was like, why doesn't Batman just kill the Joker? The Joker's killed, at this point, in all of publication history, thousands, if not millions of people.
Yeah.
And they're like, he's a corporate character.
Yeah.
We can't have him kill somebody, even though he fucking kills him in Batman 89 pretty hard.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And they're just like, no, he's like, and so...
Comic book code, man. Comic book code.
I want to say it's like issue 5 of Spawn. He takes out a very Joker-esque character.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, this is what I can do with my own... This is what should happen.
Spawn's cool. I mean, have you read a lot of Spawn?
Not a lot of Spawn.
Because 250's coming up.
Oh.
I feel like that's going to be a big one.
Oh.
Man.
So
I've already gotten to... I remember when 200 came out and they had...
Al Simmons coming back.
Yeah, I really enjoyed all the variant covers that Spawn did around issue 200 where they were like parodying, other famous comic book covers.
Oh, yeah.
I loved the Dark Knight Returns Spawn.
Yeah. Well, didn't Todd McFarlane parodied his own famous Spider-Man cover?
Yeah.
Both of us
Venom
have that
cover.
issue, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the number
he
one.
He also did the number one of Walking Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Another Image book.
Yeah.
I feel like Spawn is one of those titles that got Image off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, totally.
And
it made it like a respectable, like real deal thing.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, everyone was like laughing at him. They, they're leaving. Because the funniest thing is when he left Marvel, DC was like, fuck yeah, they're coming to us. Because who else would they go to?
Yeah, and Marvel was on top.
Yeah,
in the 90s.
and Todd McFarlane and them go over to DC to tell them, no, fuck you, we're not going to you. We're creating our own thing. And they're like, oh, good luck, guys, seriously. And then they come out with Spawn, and people go nuts for it. Like, character's been around for 23 years.
And then Rob Liefeld still has a career.
Yeah.
They're Todd McFarlane's been teasing that the Spawn movie is like a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was
like
joking.
A new live action?
Yeah.
Yeah. They've talked about
if anybody could do like a live action like reboot and like, do some like Spawn could be kick ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the cartoon?
Mm-hmm.
Not the cartoon.
Super adult. What's his face? Keith David does the voice of Spawn and he is perfect.
The guy from The Arbiter from Halo 2.
Yeah.
Platoon.
And,
I would still.
They Live.
I would still love to see Michael J. White
2.
play Spawn.
I think he could. He's doing a good job as Bronze Tiger.
Idris Elba could be a great Spawn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, I remember he had posted something where he's like, Todd McFarlane. I think I like Todd McFarlane. I think he rubs some people the wrong way. I like what he does, like on Twitter. He just gives free advice about drawing. He's like, hey guys, like, he posted a link like, this is how you should draw hands, or this is how you should do this or that. Like, here's a good example, blah, 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 blah. And so he does this thing where he's like working on his like, his desk and he's got his drawing board and he's like, hey guys, the Spawn movie's like in, not production, but I can't remember exactly. I don't want to like give false information about the movie, but we're in the process of making the Spawn movie and there's Academy Award winner is attached to it. And that person's name is, and then they have like kind of like a cheap effect where he gets his head blown off and he dies on his like drawing board and it's like, more news coming soon. But the Spawn movie is a little rough. The live action one,
yeah, especially if you have it in HD.
I have it on Blu-ray, and all the real life, all the live action
like his outfit's
is amazing.
Cool. Like,
his costume is great, except for his cape. And any CGI,
yeah.
Any
but
CGI
nowadays
in
they
the
can
movie.
do it.
Yeah, no, they could totally do it. I remember in the movie theater being kind of like this animation is a little lackluster, and then seeing it in Blu-ray, I'm just like,
I haven't watched it all the way through in like years.
Everything else, all the real life stuff, all the practical stuff, beautiful.
Cool. Yeah, I was like, maybe I'll rewatch it. Martin Sheen's in it.
Yeah.
He's the bad guy.
Yeah, John Leguizamo is the violator. Right?
I'm here to return the favor. Yeah.
But anyway, if you haven't seen the Spawn cartoon that it was on HBO,
check that out.
It's very adult, very violent, and
Yeah.
it is great. That's the Spawn. Any kind of Spawn knowledge I have comes from that and the Iced Earth album, Dark Saga.
Yeah.
So
much like how my knowledge of Norse gods come from Thor, the movie series, and Manowar, the band.
Manowar.
There you go.
On that note,
Yeah.
Pause this podcast and listen to some Manowar.
Yeah. And watch Thor.
Yeah.
Or read Thor. Which is all right. I mean, the new Thor series is interesting. It's only about 3-4 issues deep. They've got the new female Thor.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely, check out American Sniper.
Definitely.
Inherent Vice.
Inherent Vice. Maybe read the book. Or audiobook. It's not a bad film. It's just not as good as I was hoping.
I guess in a weird way, I don't know if he would take this as a compliment, because like Paul Thomas Anderson movies are so good that it's not totally up to par to his other ones, but
it almost feels like more like a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And I like the Coen Brothers, but I like Paul Thomas
Burn
Anderson.
After Reading.
Oh yeah, but I like Paul Thomas Anderson more. I do.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. So go ahead and read Star Wars #1.
Mm-hmm.
Get that. So cool the way he writes fucking Han Solo in that book. Anyway, yeah. So check that shit out, and we'll see you next week with more stories.
Thank you very much.
Good night, Eric Pana.